Nora arrives at the airport and is immediately confronted by her fiancé, Anthony, who is there to break off their engagement. However, he's stunned by her transformation. Nora dismisses him, but the encounter leaves her wondering if it was orchestrated, adding another layer of complexity to her search for her son. Was Anthony's presence just a coincidence? Or was someone manipulating events? Her search for her son just got more complicated. What was Anthony hiding? And how far would she have to go to find out?
Nora Smith. Cherry pointed to the placard in Anthony's hand as she slowly read out the name written on it in her young, tender voice. She was just learning how to read by sounding out words. She asked excitedly, "Did I read it right?" Nora rubbed her head and said in a cool, melodious voice, "Yes, you did." Anthony was dazzled by the little smile playing at the corner of her lips as she looked down at her daughter. Where had such an amazing beauty appeared from? This woman was absolutely stunning. It didn't cross his mind for a second that she could be Nora. Nora was indifferent to the burning fervor in his eyes. Cherry, on the other hand, blinked and asked innocently, "Mister, are you here to pick?" Before she could finish her question, Anthony tossed the placard behind him as fast as he could and interrupted her. "Of course not, little girl. I have nothing to do with that ugly lady." Disbelief appeared in Cherry's big eyes. Which part of her mum was ugly? "Mister, what are you talking about? Are you going blind? That's sad." Her words stunned Anthony for a moment. Taking advantage of the opportunity to escape, Nora stepped away coldly. Anthony wanted to go after her, but his assistant stopped him. "Mr. Gray, don't forget your father's instructions." Anthony watched Nora as she walked away with Cherry and muttered under his breath scornfully, "How great would it be if that ugly freak was even half as beautiful as her sisters? Maybe I would have put up with her disgusting behavior and not had to call off the engagement." In the presidential suite of the Hotel Finest, a Hunt Corporation hotel, Nora scrolled through her cell phone after putting Cherry to bed. She already had 7 or 8 missed calls from her family. On returning the first call, she was greeted with an angry tirade from her father. "Nora, what are you doing? Why aren't you picking up? You were the one who made all this fuss about breaking off the engagement. Get over here and stop wasting everyone's time. Your younger sister and Anthony have got something good going. Don't ruin it." It was impossible for Nora's father to let go of the Greys after climbing the social ladder and establishing a connection to such a prestigious family. That was why he had refused to break off the engagement between Anthony and Nora all these years. But now the Greys had finally relented and agreed to let Nora's half-sister marry into the family instead. The two families had reached an agreement. It was all the same to Nora's father, as long as one of his daughters married Anthony. Nora said lightly, "I'll come over now." She entrusted Cherry to Mrs. Lewis, the nanny that had travelled with them to the US, and went out. While she was waiting for the elevator, she heard some soft footsteps behind her. She turned to see a child dressed in grey silk pajamas, with tousled short hair, standing in the elevator lobby and looking around with sleepy eyes. Her daughter had short hair, and her exquisite, adorable facial features made it hard to distinguish whether she was a boy or a girl. And when they were living abroad, Cherry would always give Nora a hug every time she went out. It seemed perfectly normal for her daughter to come and wave her off. So Nora didn't think much about it. She just squatted down as she always did and hugged and kissed the child on the forehead. Although her voice was low, it was gentle. "I'll bring you some chocolate mousse cake tonight, baby. Go back to your room now." Her daughter's usually quick-witted eyes became dazed for a moment. Nora figured she was probably so sleepy that she had turned silly. Then she nodded and turned around and walked away. They were staying on the top floor of the hotel in a luxury presidential suite. There was only one other suite on the same level. Apart from the one Nora and her daughter were currently booked into, it was said that the Hunts kept the other suite free for their own use, so it was not open to guests. Nora figured there was not likely to be anyone staying there. The elevator chimed as it arrived. Nora went in right away. She was gone so quickly that she didn't see the door to the other presidential suite opening. A tall, striking figure walked out. The man's back was to the elevator entrance. His voice was low and deep, and he had an imposing aura that was hard to ignore.
Nora stepped into the elevator, the doors closing silently behind her. She was unaware of the pair of intense eyes that had been watching her from the other suite, eyes that mirrored her own striking green, yet held a depth of emotion she couldn't quite place. He turned and walked back into his suite, a storm brewing in his mind. Was it possible? Could Nora, the woman he'd so carelessly dismissed, be hiding something? And what was the significance of the child's presence? Was she truly just a random guest's daughter, or was there a deeper connection? A connection that could shatter everything he thought he knew. Hi, Nora here. If you are wondering what happens next, then download the Pocket FM app and listen to the exciting episodes of Saving Nora Now with the link in the description.